Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name's Emma Lefebvre, and today we are doing a two-part video series where we are working on floral compositions. So for today's video, I'm going to show you how you can go about different ways of planning out your floral bouquet composition, rearranging things, picking out a color palette, and then our next video, we are going to apply that color palette to mixing the colors and then painting the actual composition. So let's jump into today's video and get started. Okay friends, so today we are going to work on planning out a floral composition. I find I have been so bad at this lately and I tend to wing it a lot more, and I'm going to be honest, it has not been working out for me. I have not painted a floral composition in a while that I've actually really liked, and I think it's because my lack of planning. Planning is key when painting something that you'll love. Sometimes it works when you just kind of wing it and you kind of come down to like a formula that works, but I feel like my practice, especially with floral compositions, has been lacking a lot. I haven't been doing it a lot, so I try and I'm on a time limit and it just doesn't work out, and then I get really mad at myself. So today I'm going to show you, as I'm experimenting myself, how I would go about planning a floral composition. Okay, so I am using my iPad Pro. You do not need an iPad Pro for this. The only reason why I'm using it is because, one, I don't want to waste paper today. And two, I find it a lot easier to move things around, see what works, see what doesn't. But again, you do not need this. You can just use the paper. You can, separate it into a bunch of tiny, small sections so you're not wasting a big paper. But I figure this would just be easier to use. And for people who are interested, you can see how I do it. Okay, so I have my iPad Pro here. The application that I use is called Procreate. I use this app more than anything else on my iPad. It is how I create all my thumbnails, all of my workbooks, everything. This is just my favorite thing to use. I do have a tutorial that I did years ago using this app. Things have changed since then, so I might have to do another tutorial where I update how things have changed, but it is definitely my favorite app to use for this kind of stuff. Okay, so floral composition. Now, one thing that's a benefit of this app is that I can draw out the flowers and I can duplicate them and then move them around how I want to, which you obviously wouldn't be able to do with a piece of paper. So I'm going to be doing a lot of that. But the first thing I think about when I want to do a floral composition, I always work in groups of 3s or 5s. So I want 3 main flowers. Using an odd number is just more appealing to the eye rather than using, even numbers. So say I had a flower here. You know what I mean? This is awful. And then here, 4s just looks weird. You get this kind of boxy look. Obviously, I'm not drawing properly, but you know what I mean? When you have it kind of symmetrical, it just doesn't look right. It's better to work in 3s like that. So it's more appealing to the eye. So I'm going to pick 3 flowers that I like, and I'm going to work in a composition around those 3 flowers. So I'm going to draw it a bit better than I just did. So I love drawing peonies. So that's always kind of one of my favorite flowers to do. Obviously it's going to look different in watercolor. So I'm literally just, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to do this ball shape just so I can kind of gauge what I like shape wise. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. Like that. It's a lot different. Okay, so there's a peony. Awful, right? I'm going to open a new layer so I can move that around and duplicate it as I like. I'm going to work on a new layer. And then another flower I tend to do a lot is an anemone, and not usually kind of face down or just where the petals are all around. I like to do kind of a bit more of on an angle like this. Like this. I don't know. My drawing is awful today. Then we have the center here. Woo! This is awful. It's all good. Okay, and then we have the little This is just kind of giving me an idea of shapes. And then the little dots. Okay, so there's another flower. And then I also do like a good rose. You know me. Okay, I'm just doing kind of like my basic flowers that I typically do. Just doing all these curved shapes. Like so, like so, like that. Oh, hold on. I'm going to put that on a new layer. I'm going to copy and paste. So then I can take this one and just erase. Hold on. Look at this right here. Oh, I'm going to move this so I can see. There we go. And I'm just going to erase this one. So I wanted them on a different layer. I should have created a new layer. Okay, so there I have my 3 flowers and they're all on different layers. And now I can kind of move them around to see where I like them. Now, when you are coming up with a composition of a layout, there's so many ways you can go with this. But one way is kind of like a diagonal that really looks nice and appealing. If you want something that's a bit more, you know, circular, like a bouquet here, just to make sure you can kind of layer them nice and tight towards each other and then work your way out like that. But see how that kind of 1, 2, 3 looks really nice. And then you can kind of work off that with little buds and flowers and leaves and all that stuff like that. But you just kind of want to get a feel. So let's just try and move things around and see how we like them. So the diagonal we'll try, and you can always switch, you know, orientation, what looks the best, and just play around. See, I don't really like that. Maybe I kind of liked it a little bit closer to each other, but I could also go with this one, turn it around like that. So it's a bit more of like a zigzag, and then work that way. Okay. And then have stuff coming out that way. You know what? Let's try a bunch of different ones. So I'm going to start doing some greenery based on this, and then we'll try the other one and see what we like better. So placing in leaves is another part of this that you want to make sure that you practice. So I like to have a lot of the bigger leaves coming out from in between where 2 flowers are meeting. So here I'll have leaves, maybe like I did a stem first, like that. Just kind of frames it nicely. We could have one here, one here. And I kind of want another one over here. And this could even be, it doesn't even have to be a leaf. It could be like a little thing of bud of like flowers here. So we can add a little bit more color. But see how we have this kind of zigzag pattern? And just see what works. And I would put a lighter one probably up here. Have more leaves coming out from in between, like that. And I kind of like that. So there's one kind of composition. It depends if you want to go and do a lot more. Let's have a different range of sizes for our leaves to frame it nicely, just so it looks, you know, it's not all big leaves, all small leaves. You know, you want the difference, the contrast in size as well. And we are going to work on color palettes after too. But make sure you have a contrast in size of things as well. Okay, see what works, and then you can always erase, see what doesn't work. That's what's good about planning. Now the real question is, am I actually going to follow this? Okay, so I like this composition. I'm going to save this. So I'm just going to share it. JPEG, I'm going to save it to my images, okay? Then I'm going to rearrange it all again. So let's try that more circular look. So I'm going to grab my rose here. I'm going to grab my peony. I'm going to kind of turn it like that. And then my anemone like this. See if I like that. I feel like everything needs to be shifted down a bit. Okay. So it's a little bit more clustered. The zigzag is a bit tighter. Okay, so now let's add some leaves here. So I'm going to add a new layer. And I'm going to start with my bigger leaves. Like that, just kind of coming out from all angles. You're going to have some that are stretching out a bit further, like that doesn't have to be symmetrical. Remember, we don't want it completely symmetrical. We like that asymmetrical look. Okay. We want a bit more range in our contrast of sizes. So I like to have them kind of peeking out like this. Okay, so it's a little bit more of a clustered. So it's like a centered kind of bouquet. So that's another one we could do. Let's save this. Save image. Okay. And then again, we can just delete those and then we can go again. So let's try a different one. And you can just kind of keep trying and placing them around. Maybe we can, let's try one with 5 kind of going around. Okay, so I could duplicate this, have another one, maybe a lot smaller. Let's grab a rose. Maybe, do I want it in here? I don't know. Kind of have it all clustered to one side. Grab our anemone. Let's duplicate that one too, because we want 5 flowers again, working with our odd numbers. And this one. Okay. And when you're working with odd numbers, you want to make sure that you have a range in size as well. You don't need them all to be huge, big flowers like I'm doing. You can resize them. And I also kind of like to try and spread them out a bit. Wonder if I should actually, I'm going to put that one there. I'm going to make the little peony over here, like more like a bud. Okay. And then we can start adding leaves throughout. Kind of have it cascading down. Why not? Oops. I don't know. Like that. And just like heavier down here. So see that too? So just kind of working with different compositions is going to give you a better idea of where you want to go with your painting. So let's save this one as well. And then we're going to work on a color palette. So that's another big trick to coming up with a composition you like. And I have a hard time as well sometimes with. One way that you can do that is looking on Pinterest. So let's take a look at my Pinterest for a second. I have a color palette board that I have put together, and sometimes that's a really great way to come up with a color palette for a floral painting. Okay, so here is my Pinterest, and I have this color palette board with all these different references. Okay, so there's some, this is a really beautiful spring one we could always do. And you can just scroll through it. And again, one thing I love about my iPad, here, I'm going to take this inspiration. I'm going to screenshot this picture, and then I'm going to insert it into my Procreate to see where I want to place flowers. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so to insert the photo that I just took, I'm going to go to this little tool up here, this little wrench. Insert photo. Pick my photo, and I'm going to place it here. And then I'm going to show you how I use this. Let me just cut it down a little bit. Okay. So then I'm going to use the eyedropper tool. So let's I'm going to get a new canvas. I'm going to bring it all the way to the bottom so it goes underneath all of these paintings. I'm going to pick a brush that's kind of big, like that. Then I'm going to use my eyedropper tool to pick up some of these colors to decide where I would want to place them. So I hit this little button here and see this color tool here. I pick up the color and then I can start drawing. And this is just going to go underneath. And I can just get an idea of where I'd want to place colors. Okay, let's get another one. I like this pink rose maybe. And then this like powder blue is really pretty. I really like that. And then we're going to have like little pops of this yellow. Like in here. And maybe even like little flowers or something. And then this green can be our greenery. And see how that works out. See if I like that kind of composition. Does it work? I actually really like that. So I'm going to save that. Okay, I'm going to share it. Just save it as a photo, as an idea. Like that. And then we'll have to match the colors, obviously. I'm just going to erase all these. Just go back. Then we can always try another color palette. So let me find another one and then we'll drop it back in and try something else. Okay, so here we have another color palette. So when picking my color, I want to see what's going to be the kind of like star of this color palette. I don't know if this is going to work with the flowers, but let's just give it a try. An orange peony, orange rose. I don't know. It's a bit more of a fall vibe. Let's do like these dark kind of burgundy anemones, which obviously would have a different range of color and value in our painting. Oh, actually, no, here. Oops. We could use this for like little accents. This little blue, even as little buds for other things. And then you have two greens here. Get that other green. You know, maybe have it layered or just different greens within, but just like a different kind of vibe. It looks really bright on the screen. It's not doing it justice, but it's just an idea of how you can arrange things. Like this does not look the same as it does on camera. That green is like crazy bright, but you guys get the idea. And then the next part would be actually color matching the colors that you pick from the color palette and then painting your composition. So that's the planning part. Next video, we are going to be doing the actual painting, picking our composition, picking our color palette, matching the colors, and painting it and seeing how it turns out. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it gave you a little bit of insight. If you don't have an iPad, like I said, and you can't do this color palette tool or tip that I just did, you can always pick out color palettes from Pinterest. Maybe not apply them, but just like take your paint and just swatch it, mix colors and just swatch and just see what works well. And all you can do is try, just do like little mini paintings of them, really, really rough like this to kind of get an idea of what could go where. And I hope that was helpful. So I will see you in our next video of part 2. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on all my other platforms for tons more content. Have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.